We spawn in with only chadbot, a tier 2 frat bot with no free will to waste on recreation or emotions, just raw efficiency. Unlike humans, chadbot doesn't require food, he doesn't require happiness, and the only time he ever needs to rest is when he's done killing humans, which is never. The only thing he does need is electricity. So after setting up our base in an abandoned building nearby, a wind turbine was the first thing we started making. Chad's also going to need a place to charge. Chad's main role in this colony is going to be the researcher. He's going to be the brains behind this operation, getting us the technology to make some more mechs. He's also half decent at construction, but his main role is still going to be researcher. And for the next few days, that's all he did. While chadbot was deep in his research, a fellow android fell from the sky, dented and battered, a brother in metal. Unlike the fleshy vermin who crawl across this world, this one was worth saving. As I say that though, we get our first raid, and of course it's another android, probably being forced to attack us by the flesh goblins. Luckily, a super advanced robot was just running around with a club, and I had a rifle. So I kited him around and shot him from a distance. I let him get too close though, and he got a hit off, which of course ended up hitting his leg. Chad was no longer faster. This was going to turn into a fist fight, which is definitely not Chad's best skill. But with a lucky swing of his rifle butt, he shattered the other android's head, coming out on top. That was way too close of a call though, so it was time to build up some defenses. Our mechanical friend was still crashing on our couch, and while I did have a couple mechanical medkits, I didn't want to use them on him, so we kicked him out. While Chad was repairing our walls, we got our first opportunity to see how well these spike traps work. Back to back, we got another raid, but it was no problem for our spike trap. After shoving paper around for the last few days, Chad finally figured out how to make more of his brethren. Only problem is, I didn't realize how expensive they were, and I was missing some of the resources needed to make one. In the meantime, we'll continue to research and start collecting the things we'll need. And since we're planning on building more colonists, it'd be smart if we expanded the frat house. Life for Chad was pretty simple. He'd make small upgrades like building a battery, but most of the time he would just be sitting at the research bench, expanding his knowledge. We got a quest for a toxic dump, which is perfect, because robots don't care about the environment. They fell in the corner, which is perfect. We're just gonna leave them there. What could go wrong? I decided it's about time we opened up that ancient danger. It could have some resources that we need to make some more androids. That's more insects than I was expecting. Chad attempted to flee, but he couldn't close the doors quick enough and was followed out. Luckily, they lost interest, giving Chad a chance to try to pick some off. With a spike trap killing another, Chad ran inside, taking out the rest. Opening the cryosleeve caskets, a couple disgusting humans popped out. But their gear was mine. I didn't deal with all those insects to let them run away. I stripped the survivors of their clothes and threw them in prison, hopefully to sell later. The next day, a fellow robot fell out of the sky, and although he was incapable of violence, rescuing him and getting another pair of hands would be critical, which he did end up joining, where I named him Jessybot because I thought that kind of sounded like another frat guy's name. But now that we have 2 colonists, Chad thought it was a good idea that we should name our settlement, which for the life of me I can't remember why, but I named our faction Chode, and the settlement name is self-explanatory. It's a frat. Jessybot gets to work right away mining some steel, while Chadbot expands the base, building some private rooms for the 2. And while they don't need it because they're robots, they deserve it because they're the first 2 members. The next day, a trade ship comes into orbit, And it has exactly what we need to start building some more robots. Say welcome to our new fraternity brother. He's a business major, only wears polos, and likes the lady robots slim thick. Welcome chadbot. Now I don't remember where I got this, because I recorded this over 2 years ago, but chadbot's gonna become our main miner. And that new arm is definitely making a difference. For the next few days, Chad began cranking out new bots. Joining the frat is Bradbot, Joshbot, Kylebot, and Toddbot, who all start mining right away because lack of resources is our biggest bottleneck right now. Which now that we have 7 colonists, we have to start worrying about bigger raids, so it's time to build some defenses. Which just before we finish the walls are raid attacks, who are able to take out pretty quick, but not before we destroy our own windmills. For the next few days, nothing really interesting happened, so I'm gonna speed through it. We got attacked by a pack of wolves, upgraded our storage area, Josh exploded, Chadlet got messed up by some bugs, we upgraded the base again, Chad also exploded, got attacked by some raiders, and this dude had a crazy weapon, which ended up not even being that big of a problem. And finally started some construction on indoor growing areas. And I'm starting to remember why I named this place Chode. I'm getting tired of raiders always burning my stuff down, so we're gonna start construction on a rudimentary kill box, which came just in time, as a raid came with actual guns. Let's see how this goes for them. The answer was not well. More free stuff. For the next few days we got geothermal power, got raided while upgrading our kill box, Bradbot got swarmed by guinea pigs, and built a few more frat bots. If we're gonna complete Chad's main goal, we're gonna need some upgrades, because these tier 1 robots are weak. So let's change that. Researching war caskets, say that 10 times fast. Our plan is to make a small attack force, heavily outfitted in a ton of gear. But before we could get into that, a bunch of dirty bugs dug up into the ancient danger, and Chadletbot died. But don't worry, we can just shove this drone resurrector right up his bum and he'll come back. Stealing other stuff is getting pretty scarce, so we're starting to strip mine. Another pro to being a robot is acid fog doesn't affect us. Right after that, a random robot named Cat fell out of the sky, who had an autonomous core, so we were gonna try to recruit him. Which didn't take long. I really need to do something about this ancient danger. These insects just keep popping up out of it. And just as soon as we got him, Cat died. Which, because she had an autonomous core, I can't revive her. So instead, we're just gonna name a new robot after her and shove the old Cat in the storage shed. And for the 3rd time, I changed my kill box again. I have no idea how to build a kill box, so feel free to tell me how terrible this is. A psychic ship fell from the sky, which doesn't affect us. All those pollution packs keep spawning insects, and somehow they got an ostrich to join them this time, who ended up killing one of our newer robots, Donbot, who we quickly rebooted, Donbot 2.0. The next day a trader came by. Walking through the mountain of corpses, they thought it was a good idea to trade with this settlement. They were wrong. See, now this right here is why Chad needs to destroy the world. Cat ears and a furry tail fell out of the sky. Humans don't deserve to live. We're at the point now where we can start sending troops out to go raid other settlements. His name is Raid, which I think I was going for some Raid Shadow Legends joke here, but that's kind of old now. Raid is going to be one of the first troopers to get shoved into a war casket. Now a normal human would be quite upset by this, because because once you're in a war casket, you can never leave. But since Raid's a robot, he doesn't care about much. And look at this beautiful bot. He's basically a Rolls Royce of robots now, looking like a tank. 2 minutes later, what's supposed to be our strongest robot gets mauled to death by 10 Panthers. The rest of the frat mops him up using Soviet tactic, and we only lost one more guy, so not even that bad. We bring back Raidbot 2.0 now, and Dwightbot becomes our second war casket robot. Saitama and Joebot join them in the war caskets, with Gon and Killuabot acting as infantry support. I've been watching some One Punch Man and Hunter x Hunter, and the timing couldn't have been more perfect, as we got a raid to test him out on. Ignore Joebot being dead, he got mugged in some corner. The raid went really well with these walking tanks. A couple days later, we got our first siege, which I thought was the perfect opportunity to test our raid bots solo. My idea was, everyone in a war casket would be like walking tanks. They would just rush the enemies down, while Gon and Killuabot would hang in the back, giving support. It seemed to work. I'm feeling pretty confident after that siege, so it's time to send our raid team out on their first mission. Here we go. First things first, we are very outnumbered, so we're gonna send our war caskets to take out that turret first. We destroyed it just in time, because the entire settlement is starting to come at us. Just like before, Gon and Killa hang back taking pot shots, while Raid and Joe take the front lines with their swords. The enemy throws some tox gas, but it doesn't matter, we are robots, we don't have to breathe. And we're able to make quick work of them. With 0 casualties and only Gonbot having gone down, I would call this a success. Taking inventory of what's left, we grab our spoils and head home. The next problem is, we're broke. So I hit up some of the frat bots that are in the business school, and we start mass producing smoke leaves to make joints to sell. And with some of that newfound wealth, we were able to buy a doomsday launcher. No clue what it does, but that's a surprise tool that can help us out later. With our boys repaired, it's time to send them out again. This time, it's gonna go a little different though, because Killua brought the doomsday launcher. I was honestly expecting a lot more. It did take out one of them and damage the others though. We're gonna have Killua scurry back behind the war caskets and let them do most of the work. We finished off the last few guys, took whatever resources they had, and headed home. On the way back, we got attacked by one guy. Walking down the street, he saw these heavily armored people with their turtles and thought it was a good idea to try to rob them. I still haven't learned my lesson. These hives keep popping up. For the next few years, the raid team would roam the earth, killing off all the settlements that there was. We used a lot of different weapons. Some of our war caskets had grenade barrages, while others just ran at you with a giant hammer. The raid team were becoming literal killing machines. Personally, this was my favorite raid. We used a literal tornado to take out half their base before taking out the rest of them. And with that, this was the last settlement in the entire world. And while I like to say there was some kind of epic last fight where everyone in the world banded together to fight against the robots, but these guys stood no chance. They were shooting their puny guns at a giant war casket who just looked down at them before he swung his hammer down, smashing his head in. All that was left was to leave the planet, which while the raid team was away, the people back at base were hard at work building the spaceship, while partying from their victory in the smallest room possible. Now, all that there's left to do is to start up our ship, hunker down, and defend. I say that like it was gonna be hard, us with this insane kill box. And 27 colonists, including Cat, who's still dead in the freezer. Any attack thrown at us was easy. It came to a point where only mechs were starting to attack us, which was still not a problem. Some of the raiders started to get smart and tried to dig in through the back. It didn't work out for them. Even my pollution pile was helping us out in these defenses. But right afterwards they came and attacked me instead. And although our last fight was definitely the scariest, mechs were digging in through the back just like those tribals were. It still wasn't anything we couldn't handle, especially with another doomsday device. As Chad and his earliest robots he created entered the cryosleep caskets, I attempted to put Cat in there as well, but it wouldn't let me. So Cat was going to have to stay here in her storage shed forever. Having accomplished his goal of ridding the world of humans, he left this one to do it all over again on another world.